Well, me and Darren now are joined by freelance sports journalist Stuart Hodge. Good to see you, Stuart. We're all beaming and smiling after a win like that. We got to speak to Russell Martin after a win. I think even himself, he was happy about that for once.
Yeah, do you know what? Russ is one of those people you always get a good, honest assessment from him without him sort of shoving everyone under the bus. And yeah, on a day like this, it's easier to talk to the press, I think, for everybody. But it's an exciting time at the club because we're at a period, it feels like we're at the start of something rather than the end of something, even though it's the end of the season.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, a performance like that, you kind of wonder where it comes from. And Alan Irvine must be happy now that he is in post. He's got the rest of the season at least to do what he needs to do rather than bouncing from game to game.
It was interesting as well listening to him talk about how he's picked Pritchard every single game, whereas he was kind of in and out a little bit under Alex Neil. And you know, he talked about how that's the type of player he loves. Wes Hoolahan's the type of player he loves, and sometimes, you know, they say they can't play together, but when they're like that and on form, they're just on fire. It was they were sensational today, and that's the frustration of it all, I think, is the fact that they can play like they've played today, and on numerous occasions at home, yet away from home, it just all falls apart. And that team and that squad should be in the playoffs at least, and I think that's what it all leaves us feeling a little bit disappointed about it.
Yeah, as Russ said, they're playing for points now. Essentially, that's what they're focusing on, and they'll see what happens. But you know, it won't happen. So they're playing for points, but they had to show that kind of pride today, didn't they, in themselves for whatever is going to come for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think a few people have alluded to it. Russ suggested himself. Players are basically on trial now. New sporting directors here. Players have to show that they deserve to be at this football club next season, regardless of whether they're tied down to a deal, their deal's up. It's nothing to do with that. Stuart Webber's going to come in here, and his brief is to freshen up what has become stale at Norwich City at Carrow Road. And everybody, it doesn't matter your pedigree, what you've done before, you've got to show that you belong now. And I think that's why it's probably a contributing factor today. There's also the bouncing back from midweek, but yeah, it's important.
Yeah, I'd say that Stuart Webber being here today was a big influence on that performance in particular, but he's a clever man. He isn't going to look at this one result and think that all those players deserve to be here. Even talking to the fans and stuff, you know, they still feel as if perhaps some of them shouldn't be here or even played the game today. So it's going to be a really, really interesting season, not just who Stuart Webber brings in terms of playing personnel, but underneath him to do that recruitment, because he's openly said, looking from afar, your recruitment's been poor for the last 4 years. So, I mean, we knew that.
Apart from Alex Pritchard, I suppose. And to me, a player that you build this side around now?
When they brought him in, I thought it was a great signing, and I expected to see him be thrown straight into the side. And it just didn't happen. It didn't happen. The system didn't seem to fit him. He was dragged off a couple of times, and when he did play well, he wasn't then picked for the next game. So, like any footballer, they can be a bit sulky at times, and I think he had a bit of a tantrum and threw his toys out the pram, thinking, look, you signed me for that much money, play me. I'm good enough. Yeah, he didn't get good enough run in the team, but you can see on performance today when he's on form and playing regular, like any footballer wants to do, you get the best out of him.
Just regarding the recruitment, I think in general you cannot argue that more of the signings have failed than have succeeded. But I would point to Ivo Pinto, Nelson Oliveira, Tim Close as a good player, and Pritchard as 4 players that you would say, right, if they want to be here next season, then let's keep them in the squad, because they are 4 players that are very, very accomplished at this level. So it's not all been bad.
4 out of how many, though?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. In general, it has been pretty poor, but there have been successes in there as well. And we should try and keep those players, because the important thing is retaining the players that are actually have the quality to compete at this level. Because, yeah, we need to regenerate the squad, but at the same time, we've got to keep the quality that we do have.
You do just wonder if finances will dictate that, though.
And we will find out, I'm sure. Stuart, a very tall Darren. Yes. How did you manage that?
Melvin, have a little look. There you go. Stood on a step.
Remarkable.
I feel a bit giddy.
You've never been this high before. Gents, thank you so much.